everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're back for another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us, he is a director. He has a fun series up on YouTube right now, and it's called The Devil's Hour. I have with us the director, Greg, the Alchemist. Greg, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
It's a pleasure, man. So, listen, I'm a huge fan of your series right now. I just got done watching episode three, but tell my audience a little bit about The Devil's Hour.
Sure. First, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Uh, so, The Devil's Hour is a horror short web series that is an anthology, but also kind of follows a linear storyline. I came up with the concept because I work with a upstart production company called Creator Source Studios. We have all other types of content on that channel. We have a YouTube channel, so you should check that out. And I was trying to come up with content, and I'm a big horror guy. I love horror since I was a kid. I've been watching horror films since I was like 4 years old. My very first horror film that I ever seen was Nightmare on Elm Street, the OG one. When I was like four.
Great one.
Should my parents allow me to watch that? Debatable, but
Same here.
you know what I mean? Most kids just would have been running scared, and I was just sitting there like, well, this is interesting. I think we'll stay around and see where this goes. Uh, so, I love horror, and I wanted to do something with horror. I was a stand-up comic in New York City for about 9 years, and I got pretty burned out of the game. And when I was a kid, the one thing I wanted to be was filmmaker because I love films. I'm a big fan of cinema, and I did a mock horror comedy trailer back in 2020 called Karen, and that reignited my love for filmmaking. And that's when I feel like, this is what I need to do. So coming up with the concept of Devil's Hour, it was my love letter to The Evil Dead, which is my favorite horror anthology series. I wanted to do something with haunts and, or if you've seen Sinners, Haints, and demons. And I came up with the concept of the Devil's Hour. I was just online researching things, urban legends, and because I love history and studying the occult and things like that. So one of the things I came across was that the people think that the witching hour is at midnight, or is really at 3 a.m., because the veil is the thinnest between the living and the supernatural world. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I said, I think I can do something with that. And I got with my partner Daryl, who is also my co-producer and editor in DP, and I wrote up 5 minute, short, and called in a lot of favors, and we did the first episode, which was kind of like a pilot in a way, because I wanted to pitch it to CSS, but I don't like pitching. I'm not good at it. It's just not my thing. So I was like, rather than pitch it, the Devil's Hour was gonna be the pitch. So we went and just did it on our own. They liked it, and it was like, hey, let's do more episodes. And we went off and running. I started writing more episodes, and then as I got more into writing the episodes, I started really finding what I was trying to say with the Devil's Hour. And one of the things I'm trying to say with the Devil's Hour is that, underneath it all, I'm talking about trauma. And that if you don't handle your trauma, then it's going to eat at you. It's going to rot at you, and you will become the very thing you hate. So the demonic apparitions in those hour are a reflection of the person and their demons.
Now, as a filmmaker, it's probably is it harder to make different episodes where to come up with different stories compared to just making up one story that continues on? So I mean, each story has, like you said, it's a linear story, but each story has its own passion, has its own feel, has its own characters. Was that tough to do?
At first, yes and no. So originally, the Devil's Album was supposed to be like an anthology, very much like American Horror Story where I was going to work with the same actors, but they were going to be in different horror scenarios.
Hmm.
But for some reason, I got writer's block. And I always say that if you have writer's block, that's your brain telling you you're probably going in the wrong direction. You need to kind of back up and change course. So I said, okay. I kept coming back to what we filmed in the first episode of The Devil's Hour, and I said, you know what, maybe I should continue that because that's where my head is at. You know what I mean? Me and my neural spicy brain, you got a million projects and stories you want to do, but I think, I was like, I got a hole in on this one. I really have to spend time, with this particular project. And so once that happened, the scenarios of all the stories started coming more to me. I wasn't, my brain wasn't resisting, if that makes sense.
And one thing you do a great job was in your series is, you use a lot of, I say non-visual. You use a lot of sound effects, the music, even what's in the shadow. What is that? What could it be? Compared to putting it right in your face. To me, that makes it actually more scary. Actually makes it more terrifying because now you're using your imagination to determine what you're actually seeing.
Yeah, I always say filmmaking for me is like, I put it to you like this. I don't know if you ever seen the movie, oh my God, what is it? I smoke a lot of weed. Sorry. My brain. Like, what is it? It was the Pharrell film that he did with the Legos. I think it was by pieces. I think it was, or piece by piece. I think it's called piece by piece. I could be wrong. I could be
Okay.
wrong. But and it's a very good film. It's a very very good film. And there was one part in the film when he was saying how much he loved music, and he says everybody loves music, but I had a different relationship with music, and I feel that way with film. With cinema, I have a different relationship than most people. Like it's weird. It's like I see in colors.
Hmm.
So when I was a kid, you would see, I would, watch TV and you would see like maybe your TV show may have a scene where there's an orchestra or something like that. But anytime I saw orchestra, I always zoned in on the conductor for some reason. I didn't care about anybody playing the instruments. It was something about the conductor. And I feel like as a director, you're the conductor. Everything is like a symphony. When I look at film, I'm looking at it as symphony, as like an orchestra. You know what I mean? It's like everything. You have all these instruments have to be in sync in one. They all have different jobs. You got the horn section, you got the strings, but still they all work together. And the conductor is at the head. He's the one that's controlling the flow. He's controlling the sound. And as a filmmaker, everything has to be in sync, from the visual to the storytelling, the script, to the acting, to the music, the sounds. All that has to be in one because if not, it's just not going to work. It has to, for me, I want to show the audience that this kind of fantastical, whimsical, twisted world. And I want them to have that experience because going to the movie is an experience. You know what I mean? And if my work can give you that experience, then I've done my job.
I agree. Now, I have a question. Why is it though? This is a controversial question. Why is it there's so many indie horror? I watch a lot of indie horror. I watch a lot of big budget horror. I consume a lot, right? Um, as much as I do weed. But why is it that so many horror filmmakers, big budget and indie, why do they miss out on the acting part? Do you think it's the script or they don't know how to find good actors and actresses? Is that a challenge?
I think, I think that could be more of a personal thing with directors because I know directors who are not good with actors. They're just they're
Hmm.
not good with actors. It might not be the patience. It could be chemistry, whatever. Doesn't match. For me, I think I like working with actors. I really do. because you're finding it together. You know what I mean? You're finding it together. Like it's a group effort. You know what I mean? Like yes, I know I'm the director. I wrote it. I'm at the helm, but listen. I'm not the catering. I'm not the wardrobe. It takes a team effort. So as the actors, they're there to help my vision come to life. You know what I mean? So because I never got the whole tyrant filmmaker, this never makes sense to me. I'm not that kind of guy. I want us to find together because that actor might see something that I didn't see before, and I go, oh, you know what I mean? Like there was, I'm not going to give it away, but there's a scene in episode 4 that drops sometime next month in August. There is a scene that we filmed that was originally not in the script, and it came from one of the actresses in the Devil's Hour that Betsy Reeves, who played Sarah. She just suggested something to me, and I was like, okay. And when we filmed it, and I looked at the playback, I was like, oh, that's gonna be sick. So I think that it depends on the filmmaker. Some filmmakers they just don't like to work with actors, and some filmmakers do. And I think also I think when it comes to casting, and that's why they have casting directors, and because I do think casting is a talent. I really do. You have to be a certain type of person to see talent and recognize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. So I think is that essentially it's a skill set. It really is.
Yeah, because I mean, I just got done. I'm not a huge fan of the series, but everybody kept saying this movie was great, so I had to go watch it. It was the I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's the reboot legacy, and I was like, I'm like judging some people. I'm like, whoa, this movie is so fucking bad. Like, what are you seeing that I'm seeing? Because the acting, I mean, this is a big budget Hollywood movie, and the acting, I mean, it was bad. Like, it was just so off, I'm just like trying to think of something. Is it the actors, or is it the script, or is it the filmmaker? Like what? How can it be this off?
I think it goes back to what I said. It's like you're the conductor. And everything has to be in sync from the actor and the actors and their performance, from to the script, to the script, to the director, to the visual. Like it's to me, if something's off, then the whole film is going to be off. You know what I mean? And there's also listen. There's a lot of factors, because this is a. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a big, budget studio film. So you have to look at politics. You have to look at
Yeah.
okay, well, they could be casting this person because they may have a million followers on TikTok or something. I don't know. I don't know who the cast is. I'm not judging on the cast, or I'm not trying to judge the cast. I don't know. I haven't seen the film, but what I'm saying is, I've seen the original, but not the new one. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of factors that come into play, and then also the script. You can when it comes to a big Hollywood studio film with a big budget, and you submit a script, that's it. You know what I mean? It's not like
Mhm.
television, where television you're on the writing staff or the head writer, you're going to be on set every day. But in film, it's completely different. If you're not the writer filmmaker and you're just the writer, once you sell that script, you have no control over this. They just give you the check and go about your business. So, and then you get the studio notes and things like that because they're investing in the project. And when it comes to investors, you're essentially fucking with people's money. So
Yeah.
it's just the
100%.
game.
Now, Greg, listen, this series is amazing, right? And I don't say that often on my show, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty honest.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And no problem. And this is why I like rush to get you on my channel because like I feel like this is a series that people need to see. Now, do you worry as a filmmaker and there's so many good indie filmmakers that are making good stuff out there, but it just flies under the radar because there's so much horror content out there right now. I mean, it's kind of oversaturated. So, I mean, do you worry that damn, even though I'm putting something great together, I'm worried that the masses are not going to see it?
I'd be lying if I said no, but I do worry about this. That's what I think any artist does. But what keeps me grounded is one, therapy. Shout out to my therapist; she's amazing. Uh, uh, and I think another thing that keeps me grounded is this. And I remember Tyler, the creator, said this in an interview. You know, whether you're getting, and I'm paraphrasing it, whether you're getting 1,000 or a million or two views, still put your work out there, even if you get two or three views, because you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. And even trying to get your work out to the masses, in the indie world is still very tough. But I think you got to just keep pushing. You know what I mean? You got to keep pushing. You have to, really do your homework. I really say that. I say that to any indie filmmaker. Like, really do your homework when it comes to the business side. You know what I mean? Because I think that's something, and there's some artists who are great at it. Like you look at someone like Kevin Hart. He's a great comedian. He's also a great businessman. But that happens seldomly when it comes to artists because it's like one side of the brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you really, like have to do your research with the business because if you don't know the business, then you're really going to be behind. And I'm learning still. I'm trying to learn the business. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to social media, like that's a full time job. You know what I
it is.
mean? And I'm an older millennial, so it's like I don't want to go on TikTok live and talk. I've been talking to people all day. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's you have to play the game. But when I say play the game, keep your integrity and do what you love. For me, it's the love. Like I don't really care about the fame shit. Like that seems like hassle. But don't get me wrong, I'll take the bag. I'll take the money. But the fame shit you can keep. I just love being a storyteller and just putting my work out there. So I do worry about that because I want my work to hit the masses. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm doing it for. A lot of times as art, as creative artists, we get all bent out of shape. And it's like my family doesn't support me, or they don't share my stuff, or my friends don't. And I remember being there one time, but I'm like, are you just making stuff for your family and friends? Like, no, you're doing it so the
I was
world
that
can
way
see
too.
to see your stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do, worry about it not getting to the masses, but I also can't worry about that. You know what I mean? I have to just keep doing what I'm doing, and just keep creating. You know.
Love it, man. Listen. And I agree, man. When I first started this channel, I was like, I mean, I had, several hundred friends on Facebook. I'm like, well, how come these several hundred people have not subscribed to my channel? What is that about? But like, you can't. My channel's not everybody's cup of tea. It's just not, And I found my niche. I found my group. I found my subscribers. By the way, I love you guys. And like, you just got to realize, you got to keep pushing forward because, complete strangers, majority of the time, are your biggest supporters.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we're doing it for. You know what I mean?
All right, great. Let's do something fun, man. I haven't done this well on my channel. So every once in a while, man, I ask three random hard questions. These are your personal opinion, so these are completely random off the top of my head right now. All right, so the first question I have to ask you: if Hollywood Studio come up to you right now and say, "Hey, listen, we're going to give you that bag. We want you to do a reboot because Hollywood's doing nothing about reboots when it comes to horror.
Mhm.
You can go ahead and pick a established IP reboot and reboot it that someone else that hasn't done already. Which one would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. And it's a tough one too because everything has been
Yes,
done.
absolutely.
Everything has been redone. Whew. Uh, so this one is going to be reaching a bit because I don't know if too many people know this film, but it's a old black exploitation film in the realm of horror, and it was called, I don't know if you heard of it, JD's Revenge.
Yes.
Yeah. I grew up, that's my dad's era, the '70s. So I grew up watching all those black exploitation grindhouse films with him. And I remember watching actually still own JD's Revenge on DVD. That's a
Nice.
relic, kids. It's a relic. Don't worry about it. Go Google it later. What a DVD is. And I remember liking JD's Revenge, and I was like, you know what? If I had to do a remake or reboot, even though it's not like a known IP, I would go with JD's Revenge. I feel like an updated version of that would be really cool. And still set in Louisiana and New Orleans.
You can still have that grimy grindhouse look to it as well.
Yes, yes.
All right, second question. Which horror franchise do you wish they would take a break? Do you wish they would not necessarily go away, but take 10 years off and reimagine themselves?
Hmm. I'm gonna say Halloween.
I agree.
Halloween. Let Michael Myers breathe a little bit.
I love Michael. Like he needs a break. That
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
Texas
would go
Chainsaw
Halloween.
Massacre. They both need a break.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Last month was.
All right. So this is a question. So most people ask about Final Girl. But I'm gonna ask you a question. Who's your favorite Final guy?
Okay. Let me see. Hmm. Yeah, I guess Ash Williams counts, right?
He is the final guy. He is the definition of final guy.
Yeah, I go with Ash for sure. Andy Markley comes at a very close second, but I would Child's Play, but I have to go with my boy Bruce Campbell for sure because of
Ash is
Evil
great.
Dead now. Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite Evil Dead movie? Is it the original?
Oh no, actually, it's part two.
Part two. That's my least favorite, actually.
Why do you keep saying that? I like both.
I like
Like,
part
like the
three.
third person
Like
said that. I'm like, wait a minute, part two is great. Like, I get it. It gets you a little, it leans a little more into the goofiness, but essentially it finds its rhythm of what the series is.
See, I say part three, and people give me weird looks or Army of Darkness, but I love Army of Darkness.
Well, you know what? Funny thing is that's when I came into the series was Army of Darkness, and then I backtracked as a kid.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the last one though, Evil Dead Rises. I know everybody said they love that one. I wasn't. I like the one before it, the Evil Dead. What was that? 2013.
13. Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah, I love that one. I wasn't a fan of Evil Dead Rises. I mean, and I remember there was a lot of hoopla about it, and I went to the theaters opening like that Sunday and saw it, and I was like, this isn't bad, but um, this is definitely not in the top three of the Evil Dead movies for me.
I mean, I liked it. I really did. I really enjoyed it. Do I think it was better than the 2013? No, I don't. But um, I still like that. I still enjoyed it. I've watched it several times. I think there was certain things in there I expected that I didn't get, but I'm okay with that. I thought it was a good film. I thought the story was great. Like I said, but was it better than the 2013? No. 2013 one is pretty high up there for me. Uh, but I'm interested to see what the next one they have coming out. Evil Dead Burn, I believe. So,
Yes.
yeah.
By the way, they say that Evil Dead Rises was the script was written by AI. It was like one of the first big budget movies that was written by AI. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, that makes sense because a lot of the characters in that movie didn't weren't making real human responses. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it
Wow,
just seemed a little off.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was
I
just
want to
like,
take my
okay.
statement back now.
No, but I was like, wow, this is not how, members of a family would react to these certain situations,
Right,
And I
right.
was like, okay, this is how AI would make characters. So I'm like,
Well, yeah, because then it's missing the soul of it. You know
yeah,
what I
it
mean?
was missing. That's the reason I didn't like it because it was missing soul. It didn't. I didn't. I
Yeah.
mean, 'cause
Well,
you have an intimate, situation where you have a family a family, actual family who's going through this stuff, and like it just there was something missing that connection between family members.
I think what was missing was, and I think you hit the nail on the head, was the family. So, and if you look at the 2013, what really made that film really work was the script. This wasn't like, hey, this is a bunch of young adults going to the cabin in the woods. No, we're going. to do this last intervention with our friend who is a drug addict, and we're trying to get her clean. And this is our last resort, and she has to detox. And in the film, established that her, Mia and her brother, have a bit of a strained relationship. And so you begin to care about these characters. It's coming in with a very real story. So when these characters start dropping like flies, you actually feel you're like, oh man, because you care about them. You know what I mean. It starts off with a lot of heart, and I think Evil Dead Rises looks like I said I enjoy, but I think what was missing was that the relationship was supposed to be a family. There was really no backstory. There was, but it wasn't enough to really make you feel that emotion. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I agree. Great, great CGI gore and great, eeriness, but it was missing that character development. That's the word. It was
Yeah,
missing character development, and that's something that you get in majority of the Evil Dead movies, and that's something that was missing in this one.
yeah. And it goes back to what I said. It all has to work together. I think the best films have soul to it. You know what I mean? You care about the characters. You need to write characters that you can just kill off or anything to the point that even if you write them annoying enough, you want to see them die. But it takes a lot to write characters that make people care for. One particular film I could think of is X. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love it.
Most of the characters, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, folks. Um, most of the characters, when they died, it was they were helping. They were being good people, and they
Hmm.
were good people. Yes, they were filming a porno. Who cares? They were great. So you cared about these characters. When you heard Kid Cudi's character tell his story of fighting in the Vietnam War, and you know what I mean, and like the conversation they had, like it's all disco to me, baby. You know what I mean? It's like, oh wow, these people are super cool and super nice. Why is this old couple being dicks to them? Like,
But not only that, Greg. But not only that, Greg. Even Jenna Ortega's character, I wanted her to die. There was a feeling there. You know what I mean? Like she
well,
fucked one behind her boyfriend's back. Like you know what I mean? Like I was like, bitch, die. Like you know what I mean? So I mean, you got to have some kind of feeling when someone dies in a movie, whether it be yes, I'm glad that person died, or oh, I feel sorry for that person. If you go into a horror movie and someone dies and you don't feel either way, you're just like, okay, someone just died. I don't think
yeah,
that filmmaker is doing their job.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
So, Greg, where can everyone find you and your work, my friend?
Oh well, you can find me on. I'm on IG. You can find me at Greg the Alchemist on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I am Greg the Alchemist 7 on TikTok. You can find my work there. Give me a follow, like, all that good stuff. And go to Creator Source Studios. That's their YouTube channel. Check them out. That's where the Devil Hour is at. We have episodes 1, 2, and 3. We just released 3, and we have 4 and 5 coming out next month, August, and we'll be having the final episode in September. We're actually going to be filming the final episode in August. Also with the final episode, we're going to be having some cool, BTS stuff and how I do the makeup because I do the makeup for the Devil's Hour too. So it's going to be really fun. So yeah, just go to Creator Source Studios on YouTube and check out the Devil's Hour.
Yes, everyone, listen, down in the description, it is, listen, all you have to do is click on it. It's the link that will send you right up to creativestudios.com, and you can go ahead and check out Devil's Hours. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, do all that good stuff. And also follow my man on IG and TikTok. TikTok, by the way, I'm 42 years old. I have not figured out the whole TikTok thing, but I'm on there. But the hard room is on there, but we're not that active on TikTok because I just can't figure it out.
Listen, I'm 43. I'm right there with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm just like, listen, just go to my TikTok, Greg the Alchemist 7. Follow me. I put stuff up. That's what I put stuff up. So if you want to see stuff that I do from the Devil's Hour to makeup, uh, go there or go to my
You're not gonna be
IG,
on there twerking,
Greg the Alchemist.
are you? You're not gonna be on TikTok twerking, right?
No, 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 no. I'm not
Okay, good,
twerking
good,
video.
good, good.
I'm not twerking video.
That's all I see on the TikTok is half naked women. But anyway, let's
What
do
is,
to
what's
these.
your what's your
I
algorithm,
have
brother?
no idea, man. I don't know. I don't know what my algorithm is on TikTok. I get a lot of breastfeeding videos and weird shit. I'm like, well, I never watch any of this. But why the hell is it? Why is this something suggested for me? Okay, I'm like, all right. Listen, Greg, it's been a blast having you on.
Awesome, thank you. Same here. I appreciate you, brother. This was really fun.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the horror room once again. I'm Travis Bruce. By the way, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out over here a lot as well. And get your asses over and check out the Devil's Hour. We'll see you next time. Take care.